Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening, everyone. Tasmania's leading economist has told the state government to bite the bullet and close colleges to help lift retention rates and the economy. Releasing the latest report into how the state is tracking, Saul Eslake says we need to be bold to keep improving and has even suggested some state-owned companies be privatised.
Making a pitch to help create a better Tasmania. Renowned economist Saul Eslake says the state is moving in the right direction, but more can be done.
My advice to our political leaders in particular is to think big, to think bold.
The latest Tasmania report reveals the economy is growing, business confidence continues to rise, the property market is booming and more Tasmanians are now employed. But the report's author believes the state's below average level of educational attainment is holding us back. He says the Liberal government's plan to extend all high schools to Year 12 is helping. And now it's time politicians bite the bullet and get rid of colleges.
It's an expensive way of teaching senior secondary school. So, in my view, the colleges should either be converted to Year 7 to 12 high schools or merged with existing Year 7 to 10 high schools so that they go all the way to Year 12.
There's a need for colleges in our education system. The track record is showing they are critical. It provides more choice for Tasmanian students and their families and greater opportunity.
Labor, who oppose extending high schools to Year 12, also ruling out closing colleges.
What Saul Eslake made very clear is that the government can't have it both ways. It can't say that it's rolling out Year 11 and 12 everywhere and maintaining its college system.
Today's report release comes ahead of the March state election. Mr Eslake hopes some of his suggestions will form party policies, including changes to the payroll tax and selling some state-owned assets.
The ones that I think ought to be considered for sale are Tas Networks, Aurora Energy, Tas Ports and the MAIB.
Both major parties have shot down the privatisation call, despite it being backed by the business body.
You know, things shouldn't be off the table, and we don't want governments that are simply there to keep the seat warm. We want governments there making changes and improving Tasmania for all Tasmanians.
Monica Dadson at Southern Cross News.
A Lauderdale service station has been targeted by thieves who stole 2,000 litres of diesel from a storage tank. Police are investigating the incident, which has left the family-run business almost $3,000 out of pocket.
These long-term service station owners left shattered.
And we've been broken into a few times over the years, but nothing to the extent that, like this. Yeah, it's pretty disappointing.
On Saturday evening, their Lauderdale business became the subject of a brazen theft, with 2,000 litres of diesel siphoned from this storage tank.
It's probably 20, 30 loads in a big four-wheel drive.
It probably wouldn't have been so bad if it was only 50 litres or 100 litres or something, but when it's 2,000, yeah, no, it's not good.
At this stage, we're unaware of the exact time, but it did happen overnight.
The street value amounting to almost $3,000, a huge burden for the family-run business, just 2 weeks out from Christmas.
We've got a young family, so you chug away, you do your best, but it is a big kick in the guts. It's pretty sad.
Investigators believe the alleged culprits have come round and made this hole in the fence where they've siphoned the diesel for over 2 hours. At this stage, no witnesses have come forward.
And we're particularly interested in anyone who may have seen a light tanker or a truck in the area at the time the crime was committed.
The incident's leaving staff in shock, but the community is already rallying around.
They are amazing and they've been a great support.
Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
A New South Wales doctor accused of murder has appeared in the Hobart Magistrates Court. Stephen John Edwards was extradited to Tasmania in May last year. Police charged him with murder over the death of his elderly mother, Nelda Edwards, at her Sandy Bay home. He's pleaded not guilty. Today, in preliminary proceedings, the court heard from 2 people who worked for King Care, providing help to Mrs Edwards and her husband. They were questioned on visits to the couple, company records and Mrs Edwards' deteriorating condition in the lead up to her death. The matter returns to court on Wednesday. A Launceston man who struck his father over the head with an axe has been found not guilty of committing a crime by reason of insanity. The 20-year-old had been standing trial in Launceston's Supreme Court, charged with committing an unlawful act with intent to cause bodily harm. The incident occurred in the family's home on High Street in January. A global fish company is spending tens of millions of dollars to turn a dilapidated factory into a production powerhouse. It's a lifeline for one of the state's neglected industrial areas and a boon for local jobs.
For 15 years, Danish company Biomar has been supplying food to the state's fish farms from overseas, but soon the product will be made here.
We're here and we look forward to being a key member of the Northwest Tasmanian community.
The proposed $56 million factory is Wesley Vale's White Knight, turning what was once Tasmanian wood panels into a new state-of-the-art facility capable of producing $200 million worth of fish food each year.
It's really big bickies. This is a $56 million investment, of which, of course, the state government is very proudly supporting the investment with $2.3 million as well.
The site is expected to be up and running by September 2019. 55 full-time jobs will be created directly, plus dozens more in logistics and port services. The factory will pump out more than 100,000 tonnes of product each year.
Primary reason why we're in Tasmania is because we believe the industry here has got huge growth potential.
A potential which is only growing as the government explores the options for new leases like King Island. Biomar says local fish farming is a knockout, especially when you look at the global industry as a whole.
In fact, it's pretty stagnant. Scotland's stagnant, Norway's relatively stagnant, 1-2% growth, Chile stagnant. So actually, Tasmania and Australasia as a whole, aquaculture is growing at 10-15% per year.
Biomar already supplies a third of the state's fish farms, but the company hopes to grow that slice of the pie with a footprint firmly planted in the state. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
Police are investigating a deliberately lit fire in Rugby, which broke out in the early hours of this morning. It's the second fire at the unit complex in the last week, with this other unit damaged by a suspicious blaze on Thursday. This morning's fire was contained to a small part of the unoccupied unit. Anyone with information about either incident is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. A Tasmanian island is leading the world on a new energy solution, allowing the remote community to leave behind its diesel dependency. Flinders Island flicking the switch on a more renewable energy future, building its clean green brand on an international stage.
Unveiling a new era for renewable power generation. Flinders Island flicking the switch on a world-leading energy solution, ending the island's historical dependency on expensive diesel, saving up to 600,000 litres of fuel annually.
We're now getting 60% of the island's energy provided by renewable sources. So that's 60% of the island's energy that's not being provided by burning diesel.
The project is building on a similar concept on King Island, Flinders breaking new ground by having the renewable energy hub containerised, with the modules allowing a rapid rollout in regional areas.
If you can build them on one site and then just ship them into the location and plug them in, they'll end up being much more reliable and also much cheaper.
The success of the Tasmanian innovation is already being realised, the project chalking up new records as the island continues a long run of being 100% self-sufficient.
This system has been operating at close to 85 hours of zero diesel operation. King Island, just a few weeks ago, got up to a 61-hour run.
So it's running on 100% for good chunks of time, and ultimately that's where we want to end up in the national system as well.
It's expected to build the island's clean green brand on an international stage.
And we've already had some international visitors come, so we're already starting that journey and it's terrific.
The containerised energy hub here on Flinders Island will now be the model for Hydro Tasmania to sell to other diesel-reliant communities interstate and internationally.
We're getting a lot of interest from international players. We've had a lot of both utilities and companies come through here to have a look at what we've achieved.
Charging a new renewable direction for Tasmania's North East Island. Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
Now look at the day's business and finance with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. Australian shares have finished marginally higher after bouncing around the 6,000 point mark throughout the day, with mild gains in the energy, mining and financial sectors. The ASX 200 index has risen by 3.9 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 75.26 US cents and just over 109 New Zealand cents.
The Hobart Hurricanes BBL side is coming together for its first hit out of the season. The team flew to Sydney today for a series of practice matches. Coaching staff say they're working closely with their number one spinner, Cameron Boyce, to make sure he delivers again this season.
Just continue to work on his pace through the air, making sure he bowls with that good pace, not too quick, and keep turning the ball.
The Hurricanes play their first game for points on December 21. 4 days of intense sailing has wrapped up on the River Derwent. The SB20 Australian Championship went to Brett Cooper, steering Aeolus, who won 4 of the 10 races. Difficult Woman, skippered by Rob Goff, came in second place. Krabos, steered by Nick Rogers, came in third after a win on the final day of the regatta. The Launceston Pro-Am is nearly doubling its prize money in a bid to attract more professional golfers. Competitors will play for $20,000 in prize money, up from $11,000 previously.
With a bit of a step up from our sponsors, it's now the biggest event in Tasmania as far as the purse and therefore hopefully the personnel that and the competitors on the day.
The Launceston Pro-Am tees off on the 4th of March.
Good evening. Hobart 22 today, Launceston 25, Burnie 24 degrees and Devonport 21. Cressy, the state's high, 26 today. Temperatures close to average for all areas except the west. Campania and Fingal 25 degrees. Wynyard Friendly Beaches and Ooze 24. St Helens 22, Low Head and Lyweenie 21. Grove 20, Strawn and the Bass Strait Islands 19. A westerly airstream is over the southeast of the country. Now that's producing cloud over our region and southern Victoria. The rest of the country mostly cloud free apart from a middle-level cloud band with a few embedded thunderstorms, which extends from the Northern Territory to southwest WA. Predominantly clear skies today, just some broken cloud over the west and some scattered cloud over the south and east. Tomorrow, the high to the east becomes dominant, looking after Tasmania's fortunes. Troughs remain over the mainland. Northwest to southwest winds, firstly at 10 to 20 knots, becoming lighter and more northeast-northwest by evening. For Tuesday, a partly cloudy 25 for Hobart, 21 for Adventure Bay, Tarraleah 23 degrees. For Launceston, a bit of cloud about, but warming up to 28, 22 for Devonport and Bridport. Burnie, partly cloudy and 23 also for Strawn, bit of cloud over Marrawar but fine and 20 degrees. St Helens partly cloudy, 25, 23 the top for Swansea, Whitemark partly cloudy and 22. UV, of course, extreme. On Wednesday, fine apart from the chance of an evening shower over the west. Showers on Thursday contracting to the west, far south and northeast in the afternoon. Cloudy on Friday with the chance of a shower over the west, far south and maybe the north coast. Mostly sunny in Perth, Adelaide, Canberra and Alice Springs tomorrow. Conditions on the improve over Melbourne, clearing up to 26 degrees. Partly cloudy for Sydney and Brisbane. A possible storm over Darwin. Partly cloudy and 17 in Hobart, 23 in Launceston, clear in Devonport and 22. An early Christmas Day forecast, Joe. An early shower clearing from Hobart, a top of 20, fine and sunny in the north and a top of 23. That's a forecast, not a promise.
We want promises from you. Thank you very much, Merv. That's all from the team for now. We will, of course, see you with updates throughout the evening. Thanks for your company. Bye-bye.